Hello, passengers, and welcome aboard the TV Pilot's License with service to Cloud 9 and capitalism. We ask that you please fasten your headphones, secure your podcasting device, and remember that cereal is in row 8, light vests are in row 12, and if you are seated in an exit row, we're going to need you to work overtime on today's flight, but unfortunately, it is not a paid opportunity. Welcome to the TV Pilot's License. My name is Geoff Kerbis, joined by Rich Inman and Max Singer. How you boys doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I bought this shirt from a department store from a different TV show, and I don't have a receipt, but can I return it here at Cloud9?
And Rich,
Max,
how are you?
Max, that friend of the pod shirt was a gift. I'm really good, but in Zoran Mamdani's America, I'm not landing in capitalism. I'm telling you that right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, gentlemen, this week we are going to be talking about NBC's Superstore. To get us in the mood for that upcoming Black Friday holiday shopping feeling that seems to be engulfing us with every single moment we go. But before we do so, if this is your first time flying with us, or maybe you're a frequent flyer, Max, what is this podcast all about?
Here at TV Pilot's License, we break down and analyze the pilot episodes of some of TV's most famous, or in some cases, infamous shows. We learn more about how these shows came to be and were originally made, if they're effective pilot episodes and making us want to watch more, and if we think they can be made today. Go back and stream our old episodes from wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok to see our smiling faces. And if it is your first time flying with us, then welcome aboard.
And Rich, what is your question of the week?
Well, it's a workplace comedy. Go figure. We've never done one of those before. So I got to know, what job did you have that you think would make the best workplace comedy, and why?
Max, what are you thinking here?
I'm gonna go with the working man's counter argument to Apple TV's The Studio, and I want to see a show about my time as a below the line PA on a network production. I want to give a little shout out to all the union members, your gaffers, people in sound, wardrobe, PAs, people who are the first ones in, the last ones out. I think there's a lot of workplace potential that The Studio or that show from HBO about not DC and Marvel movies that I'm forgetting the name of hit upon. I just have a distinct memory of working on a project on a backlot, on a big studio backlot, and I'm pretty sure they just thought, like, what can we do to not have this guy in the way? They're like, hey, Max, like, we need you to hang out in one of the stars' dressing rooms, and just, if he needs anything, you're there, which was totally in hindsight, like, this guy fucking can't do anything.
My most recent PA gig, they basically just had me move like plastic tables and chairs back and forth for about 17 hours.
Oh man, yeah, we got the same work.
You were moving the furniture on the proverbial Titanic in this instance.
Yeah, basically.
Oh my gosh.
How about you, Joe?
I was thinking about this because, Max, similar to you, I find that like anything production, super fun background to it. Like there's definitely a lot that is not discussed as far as how TV or live TV gets made that could lead to some funny stories in this instance. But for me, I'm going to go against something that is not very original, but I do think lends stories. That is my time working in my high school's convenience store, or bodega, as I call it. And
your high school at a bodega?
Yeah. It was definitely.
This Gen Pop prison has commissary, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But I think that there's some funny stories to that. There's always going to be, like, as we saw with shows like Kim's Convenience, there's something about a general store that allows it the opportunity for a lot of comedy in the people that come in that day, in small skits, or even in larger narratives that maybe are a little bit more character development based. But Rich, I'm curious about you. What is that job that you want to make a TV show about?
So I've had a few that have been interesting. I've been at startups on the upswing. I've been at startups on the downswing. But I don't think anything has given itself more ability to like have a rotating cast of characters than working front office at the White Sox, because it is I worked there the 2013 season, and it was a truly just sinking ship of a season. And I was trying to sell tickets. I was trying to sell partial season ticket plans and suites and stuff like that. And working during the game, those like big tables that you see with the team's logo behind it. Those people are trying to sell you sweets and shit. It was a extremely fun office. I got to do some of the coolest stuff imaginable, like work out on the field and stuff like that. But also selling, like watching the machinations of a struggling sports franchise would be pretty fun to watch.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think there's at least 3 seasons of a TV show in the Chicago White Sox for sure.
Ted Lasso rules.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Rich, thank you so much for your question of the week.
At least Ted Lasso was getting promoted.
Let's talk a little bit more about Superstore. And we're going to start off with a quick synopsis. Literally, this is the shortest synopsis I think we've ever done in over 100
It's just a
episodes.
store.
I'll look at the lives of employees at a big box store. That's it. That is
Nice.
That is the beautiful. You know,
For
sometimes
sale, baby shoes never worn.
that's a full story right there. But Max, can you tell us a little bit more about how Superstore got made?
Today we are talking about the pilot episode of Superstore, which originally aired on November 30th, 2015 on NBC, and the show's creator, Justin Spitzer. Spitzer's early writing credits include Scrubs and the short-lived sitcoms Courting Alex and Committed, before he came to prominence as a writer and co-executive producer on The Office. In recent years, he's been the brains behind American Auto and St. Dennis Medical, both at NBC. Spitzer wanted to develop a show about people working together at a store and their interpersonal relationships, a low-concept show with its details at the execution. Originally titled The Greatest Love Story Ever Told, the show was retooled after a wave of rom-com-esque pilots failed in the years leading up to Superstore.
Whoop.
NBC executives pitched the name change to the much broader Superstore. The pilot was ordered in January 2015 alongside 2 other sitcom pilots at NBC. Of those 3, 2 made it to air, 1 made it through a full season. So we're going to take a moment to In the Arms of an Angel, R.I.P., Crowded, and How We Live. Just fun. We hardly knew ye. We hardly knew ye both. A fun tidbit about Superstore's casting. This is the first part we've covered on this podcast that I auditioned for.
Yeah, we made it. Oh, and I did a promo for this show. We're
All right,
Superstore
interpersonal connections, and we will say nothing more about that.
Hey, I'm so sorry, Max. We're going with America Ferreira.
We're stitching in the audition tape right here.
The pilot episode was filmed in an abandoned Kmart in Burbank, and eagle-eye viewers can spot Kmart detailing throughout the set. For the rest of the series, a soundstage measuring just under 22,000 square feet was built on the NBC Universal backlot. Since your average Target store is around 130,000 square feet, the production crew used mirrors above and around the set to create the illusion of depth while filming.
Oh,
Today's
interesting.
pilot is directed by Ruben Fleischer and produced under his banner The District. Fleischer is known for helming the features Zombieland, 30 Minutes or Less, Venom, and the newest installment of the Now You See Me franchise, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which... Now you see me was right
now you
there.
three
Now
me.
you
Now
three
you
me.
right there.
Now you 3 me.
Now you throat.
Wait, so this okay?
Now
I mean,
you
I love
forget
anyone
me.
who I love anyone who appreciates the talent of Jesse Eisenberg. I guess that's the takeaway here.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And let's dive into Superstore, right? And this show starts off with something that I think we've grown very accustomed with, right? Exposition via voiceover to fill the audience in on what they should be expecting in a day in the life working in this Superstore, right? This gigantic big box store. And I'm curious for the two of you, well, this is a montage of many different, small scenes, small experiences inside of the Superstore. What do you think about this exposition as an opening for this pilot?
This is some of the best use of background actors and featured extras I think we've covered in a pilot. To be a featured extra in Superstore is to have such a fun moment on screen, even if you don't say a single word. I think they set up all the clientele, what type of scenarios and situations you'll be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And I love that later on we call back and reveal who the voice in the sky is. We kind of get to know that character of Garrett later on, which so thoroughly establishes that this is going to be a storytelling mechanism that we use week in and week out.
Rich, what about you?
Yeah, I think what they had to do here was try to because we all know this is an extremely familiar landscape. This is an extremely, it's not just, the Cheers neighborhood bar. It's not just like a random boring office. It is some place that we know we are going to shop at some point, and essentially these stores are a necessity for American life now. You have to make it feel like one of the stores specifically, and like while they couldn't do it, it's clearly a Walmart, right? Like there's no other, I don't think there's any other store that this could possibly be, but they had to set the precedent of this is an extremely cheap store, and this is the clientele. Like I've been to, one of the worst experiences in my life is going to a Walmart in Sarasota, Florida during Christmas. This is that store given cameras. That is what they're exemplifying here.
Yeah, I mean, the opening of this show, I think, immediately establishes this is not a laundry folding show. Every single visual gag that they give us with these featured extras are fantastic. They're small, little, like, giving the audience a clue of, hey, you want to be watching this. You want to see what happens in the background. You want to be able to be in on some of the jokes that are happening in this show. And it happens throughout the entirety of the episode, too. They use these small little, like, B-roll montage-esque instances and sequences to continue to engage the audience, which I think is such a fun way of making sure it's like, hey, don't change the channel. Don't you want to see what happens in aisle 10 when there's two people with grocery carts that happen to hit each other?
Oh, no. Like, Geoff, don't launch another reality show. I can see people actually making that.
But
Costco hidden cameras.
Well, we have to combine this with the Rich's disguises so he can get all the different samples that can be the interlude. But, I mean, why is today different, right? Like we establish our playground of this Superstore, and we're something that we're very familiar with, right? Like today is a different day because we have someone who is starting their job or interviewing at this Superstore to start a career that, Jonah, who seems to be one of our many protagonists in the show, is slightly embarrassed about, right? And I'm curious, Max, as far as your thoughts as, is this a good Why Is Today Different for you? Is this enough for you?
It's one of the simplest Why Is Today Different. I mean, First Day is one of the cornerstones of Why Is Today Different. And I think that what we do here is, without making him seem too arrogant or too up his own ass, Jonah believes that he is a fish out of water. And so we are dropping him into an environment that he has to learn to swim in. And that's going to create relationships, it's going to create conflicts, it's going to create hilarity, because you're just taking this person, you're dropping them into a world, and you're just going to see how they ping pong off of every other person who already exists here.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I really liked how they, if we're talking about Why Is Today Different, I think it's very funny that they also had another person start their first day for this. The character of Mateo, who immediately becomes like an unrequited adversary. I guess that would be like how I would describe it. It's like he keeps starting this beef with Ben Feldman.
Nico Santos deserves all of the praise for being in this pilot for a quarter of the amount of time that Ben Feldman is in this show. But every single instance you get him, he murders it. He absolutely steals the show by, like, let's talk about this all-staff meeting that happens where we get to meet all of these characters a little bit more. First of all, my wife previously worked in one of these Superstores, right? She had an experience doing so. There is no world where you have a Superstore where the entire staff meets at the same time, because you always have customers in these stores, no matter what. Which is, one, I love that we're just like, this is a Superstore, but fuck it. Forget about the rules. We're going to absolutely make new rules for this and have the staff room be a place where hilarity is going to ensue.
And beyond that, multiple times throughout the episode we end up here. But it's another one of these things that Spitzer does well, where it's setting up a plot device. It's an area that we can go to every episode that's going to get every member of Ensemble together, and we could just have everyone sort of rapid fire jokes, and we can establish relationships, and we can kind of play a little bit of catch up. This really does encompass what I think he was going for, the idea of like, it's a low concept show that's all about the relationships, because you're right, we've established adversaries. We have a second rivalry that we see between the characters of Dina and Glenn as well. We create all these types of relationships. A gun gets fired in this pilot, for crying out loud. Like, we do all of these high stakes things in a low stakes setting, and I think that that contrast is what makes it entertaining.
Rich, I'm curious for you, as we're starting to build this ensemble cast, right? Are there any relationships or individual characters that really are sticking out for you early in this pilot?
Well, obviously, the first interaction between Dina and Jonah, of Dina clearly being obsessed with him in a romantic or sexual way, sticks out pretty clearly. The love interest immediate to America Ferreira from Jonah is like, okay, so number one, someone's going to take out crystal meth during a team meeting. Someone's going to fire a gun in this pilot. Same person. I think Dina might just be a bad employee. They're just like, oh, so there's sexual harassment, there's a gun being fired, and there's crystal meth being brought to work. Okay, this is all the same person.
I think that one of the things that I found throughout watching this pilot that I'm curious for the two of you is, it's very evident that the actors and actresses that were hired for this show were fully bought in on giving the most with their characters, right? Like the Nico Santos is Mateo. Mm-hmm. Obviously just fully was like, oh, I'm going to make this the most extra person. Lauren Ash as Dina, literally just stealing the show any moment that she was given the opportunity to. Like, Mark McKinney as Glenn is the manager that, like, obviously does not want to be there, but is reluctantly taking responsibility. There's not many performances where I'm watching this and I'm like, ooh, we have a weak spot in the rotation. It very much feels like everyone here is, doing exactly what they need. We're playing Moneyball right now, and it seems to be, it's the end of baseball season. It's on my brain. Everyone has a pretty decent shot at getting on base in this pilot.
Right.
It is so character driven too. For being a workplace sitcom, these people all do feel larger than life, and we get these instances where it's one or two lines or a simple action that really clearly define them. I was surprised, for as large as this ensemble is, how many wants and how many behaviors and character traits I felt like I walked away knowing from a 22-minute runtime. This is a very effective use of time.
And also, like, you can feel that there isn't in like kind of the opposite to Parks and Rec. There's kind of like a sense of purpose to all the characters of like why they're working in public government or like small public government. And in this case, there's like, you kind of don't need it. It is like they'll have their own wants and everything. They'll have their own wants of what they need in life and from the store. But you kind of like, they have created a world where you also like kind of don't need to know why they're there. It's like, we know why they're there. It's a job that they thought that they could get easily.
So I'm curious, we have two sort of conflicts that come up. One, because of our protagonist, and one is more of something that is an aside by our secondary protagonist, played by America Ferreira, of Amy. I'm curious, let's talk about the first one, right? Jonah's mishap. And I was going to ask you too, what is the biggest mistake that you have made early in your work careers?
Oh boy.
Do you want to answer that, or do we want to talk about how Jonah really fucked up on his first day?
For everyone's sake, let's just get to Ben Feldman.
So I think that's a good point, Max, in the idea of what do we think of Ben Feldman as Jonah in this pilot, as our driver, as our fish out of water. Who
I don't
also
think he's tall and from Connecticut enough.
So Max specifically, what different choices? No, I'm kidding. I mean, what do you think of him being this hotshot who makes this big mistake that causes this chaos and a gun being fired off in a big box store?
Big golden retriever energy, which I think suits his character very well, of try to get by on nothing but pure charisma and a smile, thinking that he's above it, and learning really quickly how like tedious the work can be and how detail oriented and like what goes into it. Probably the first time in this character's life that he's not been able to accomplish something that he wanted to, and then seeing the hilarious results. And I'm glad that we also resolved the conflict so quick. This is not a thing where we set up our conflict early on in the pilot and it drags out till we get to a resolution late in the third act. This is a blip in this episode. It only really exists because we have to set him up to fail in some way so that he can learn or grow in another way. Like, this is not a conflict oriented pilot.
No, it's almost like they were trying to do like a very small A plot and then just make sure that there's B, C, and D too. There's very clearly, like, you know, you have, if you think of a Superstore, there's so much real estate for you to use for this show. There, you need to have an understanding that it's not going to be just Jim and Pam. Someone has to come through. Like, Ryan has to have an A plot. Dwight has to have an A plot. That kind of a thing. And you get that with this much real estate and this big of a cast.
And I think that, Rich, as you just said, because we have such a big cast, we need to be able to use all of these characters, see how they interact, get these relationships, and that allows us this opportunity to also have the other problem that comes up of a engagement that is obviously seen as a little bit problematic or forced, that leads to the most 2015 thing ever. Some would say even out of fashion in 2015. A
flash mob set to a train song?
Yeah. I mean,
wait,
go for it, Rich.
I mean, are we gonna gloss over the fact that that this is not the rapper from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? That is like the first person we actually see in this pilot. That's the first person we actually get lines from. Like, I'm trying to remember his full name. Oh yeah, he's
Johnny Pemberton.
Yeah, Johnny Pemberton.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's a different person. Lil Kevin is played by a different person, but it is very, very similar vibes.
But Max, I mean, we sort of referenced it, right? We do these smaller problems, these things that are solved maybe within a minute to 2 minutes of them appearing, just to see how a staff responds or this group of people responds. What do you think of having this secondary, this B, maybe C, or even D plot that's happening in the background of this episode?
I mean, I think they're all effective for character world building. If you think about all of these, you have the Cheyenne and Bo storyline of Cheyenne is pregnant with Bo's baby and he's proposing to her with an $8 ring that he purchased at the store she works at. You have the rivalry between Jonah and Mateo. You have this sense of conflict and power and authority between Glenn and Dina. You have Jonah with the unrequited love for Amy. When you have a character like Garrett, played by Colton Dunn, who is sort of like the person who could shepherd Jonah into the group, like the person who lends the hand and makes him feel more comfortable, more at home in this new environment. And all of these people serve a purpose towards world building. It's a simple concept, but we really just like blow out the world in a way where you're like, okay, I'm not going to care about, well, hopefully at the time you care about the setting, you care about the store, but like, I'm going to find people that I care about. And that's a really hard thing to do in a pilot. And I'm glad they went that route over what's the thing that we could draw out for 22 minutes that's like a linear A plot.
Yeah, that's a great point. They almost kind of don't do that thing where like the store is like its own character. They really are just like, here's 8 people who are all here at the same time. That is like an expert like character writing just methodology.
And I think that one of the things to give this show credit as we're learning about the character's wants and needs is we have this Amy character who's keeping so much to her chest, right? Like keeping so much of herself, private, just to have this gigantic reveal at the end of the episode of what her real name is that she does not share with everyone, and also reveal that while she's been walking around the store with a fake name tag, no wedding band on, to have this reveal of, oh, she's actually married and there's something deeper happening in this moment. I mean, do you guys find that a little bit out of place as a way to end this pilot, or was it something that you were like, oh, interesting twist?
I don't think it gave enough where it was like, why do you need to hide yourself so much? It's not like, it's not like Amy is short for America Ferreira, and this is just America Ferreira working at a store. So it's like, it felt a little confusing, and I'm like, she's putting on this name tag that says Ramona and everything, and I'm like, fine, your name's Ramona. That's like, it's not a good enough protagonist name, I would say, but it's like, it just felt a little odd.
I am now only thinking about Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, where James Vanderbeek played James Vanderbeek in that show. And that was a pitch to America Ferreira of, you are America Ferreira and you're undercover working.
Oh no, it's Undercover Boss.
You're really taking a shot at Real Housewives of New York star Ramona Singer, but that's fine.
Oh my God, Max! I mean, for you,
so I will say though, to tag off of Rich's point, I have worked in hospitality gigs in the past where I know people who have done this exact same thing, where they don't want to give their name to people because you don't want to invite conversation, and like it's this thing where you don't want people to know about you because people can they could find you. Like that's a real fear that someone could track you down. They could find you. It's probably not a fear that us as, three white dudes have in this world, but I do know people who have wanted to use that as a safety device. And then
that's a good point.
The idea of the slipping out the wedding ring at the end, I think again, I don't want to bring anything that could incite conversation that I don't want or feels unwarranted, and to do it in a way that tells the audience without telling anyone else is an effective bit of storytelling. That we have a secret now as an audience that the characters, or at least one character, does not have, and moving forward, that's going to affect how we view everything that he does, since we know this bit of information.
And it kind of brings, because you have to do that thing of tying up loose ends, but also having a cliffhanger moment for the second episode. And I mean, I guess up until that point, there is not much of a cliffhanger episode, except for see you tomorrow, of them being in the parking lot together.
I wanted to see them throw mannequins in the dumpster, but that's just me. I guess this is more effective for character and world building.
Tell, don't show.
But that is sort of our pilot. We are left with this little mystery that we hope to be solving in episode 2 if you choose to watch it. But I'm curious, things that you loved about this pilot, things that maybe deserve a little bit more shine. Do either of you guys have things that you want to talk about? Max?
Yeah, for all of the main ensemble people that we discussed, I want to give a shout out to someone in a bit of a different role in this, and that is Betsy Sodero as uptight lady as she is credited on IMDb, crashing a very, very dramatic, intense engagement scene to ask questions comparing stool softeners and laxatives, and then the big resolution to Cheyenne also being a resolution and takeaway for Betsy's character as well. It is making the absolute most of the screen time she is given. I mean, she's just such a phenomenal live comedic performer who I've had the pleasure of seeing so many times at UCB and around LA on stage. And she just absolutely knocks this role out of the park. And every person who only has a snippet of screen time crushes it as well. This is just such a strong featured and background cast.
Definitely. And
Rich, what about you?
What that does too is that it takes that emotional moment and then immediately throws it, keeps the reality of it in, if you saw someone have a meltdown at Target tomorrow, and but you're there to buy Dayquil. Are you gonna sit there for 15 minutes while they handle this? No, you're gonna ask where the friggin' Dayquil is. Like it is the best like reality check for this show. For me, we've talked a lot about like the cutaways of this. That show, just like, I mean, the lone baby sitting in an aisle was perfect. It just like, those are absolutely perfect. I mean, I just love Dina and Garrett as characters, and they gave a lot of like, this is what we're gonna come to expect from Glenn. That Glenn's got a little bit of a crazy side to him, and like, I have a small question. Do you guys think that Mike Birbiglia got royalties for Glenn using his voice? It feels a little pointed certain times in the episode.
It feels almost racist, like it started, like
yeah, against Italian comedians from Boston.
Yeah. For myself, I love how tight this pilot is. I think it is. There is not a joke that sort of falls flat. Everything is weaved together in a way that makes this a very fun, catchy, snappy pilot, which
you
is
rip through it.
Awesome. Like, very, very easy to watch, had my attention the entire time. And I think that it is almost a masterclass in making sure, like, hey, we have our ABCD plots figured out. We have these small little montage moments to make sure the audience is engaged with it the entire time. And then we're out. We're not doing the Office thing of just having these awkward pauses where everyone wants to tear their skin off their body. Like, it is truly trying to say, we have really good jokes. We're not adding any fluff. Let's just make sure we fill enough time so we have the ad slots on the other side of it to make it 30 minutes.
Building a comedy pilot is a little bit like kind of building like a miniature golf course, where you're like, you have to have so many designated bits where people are going to struggle. Like, you have to give people like opportunities to struggle, but you also have to have so many moments of just like, of setting up places for whimsy, of just like, this is the cutaways, the individual jokes about aisles and products and all that stuff. Like, you have to have those built in, and they do a great job of that.
You have to have at least 2 windmills to be a miniature golf course. Those are the rules.
And to your point though, Geoff, about this being like a tight pilot, it feels like you can sense the energy of how busy this type of big box store is. You have principal characters crash moments of background performers doing obscure things. You also have the opposite too. You have this flip of background people crashing scenes between principal characters. You have the cutaways. You have this pacing. Anytime someone is doing something that doesn't feel like they're doing their job, it is called out in real time. And I appreciate that, again, while the store isn't really a character yet, you feel the energy of the world they're in throughout it. There is almost like an unspoken ticking clock of sorts.
Yeah.
What about wait a minute moments for you two? Were there any things that caused you pause that maybe took you out of this pilot and maybe you wish they didn't do?
When on earth, Ben Feldman, did you find the time to cover that ceiling and all of those thousands of tiny glow-in-the-dark stars?
Unnoticed.
How did no one notice you? You had to at least have a lift to like.
I will forgive the 2 meetings in the employee break room. I will forgive the kayak race in the shopping carts. I cannot forgive how long it would have taken him to do that. And we believe that this is all one shift. This is all your first day. And you had the time to do all that? No, I do not buy that for a second, Ben Feldman.
Rich, what about you?
There, not to pile on to Jonah's character specifically, though he is the protagonist of the show so far. There is a moment in the second meeting where Jonah asked Garrett, do they allow employees to date supervisors? Number one, it's your first fucking day, dude. You got to chill the hell out. This is crazy. That's insane. What an insane thing. He's got like manic pixie dream girl energy a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, that one made me pop out of it where I'm like, oh, I'm watching a TV show. It was like a little too ham-fisted. What about you, Geoff?
Yeah, for myself, I'm going to go to the economics of working in a superstore. How did everyone know that electronics were 25 cents. There's no change in the, like, it's not like they have digital displays. It's not like they, did someone go to the front cash register, see they were 25 cents, and then started screaming to everyone, all the electronics are only 25 cents? What in the fuck happened in this instance? I have a ton of questions, and I need to understand the logistics of how the entire community, it seems like, figured out that everything was
the
25
hundreds
cents.
of people currently in that store are all on the Citizen app.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, we do have one more question, gentlemen, and this is an in-flight question. And our in-flight question came from frequent flyer Alex, who has actually worked in a super Target. And she would like to know, what do you think would be the most fun category to work in a superstore? Personally, I had so much fun working in the bakery and working the cash register. So I'm curious for you two, where do you want to work? In either Cloud9 or, another big box store?
Oh,
I'm trying to think of which locations have like the least amount of just like chaos happening. It's like sporting goods in theory feels fun, but people are gonna play with the sporting goods and like shit's gonna get broken. Same with electronics, like people are gonna be playing with things. So I am going to say that I want to be in going home goods. I want to put together some nice ass displays. Like, get me in like whatever the Cloud9 equivalent of Magnolia home is.
The Max Singer collection.
I can put some nice ass throw pillows and displays. I can make sure candles are rotated. I want to create a nice little like homey feel in there. Also, I'm probably getting a guide of how to set it up if I work in that department. Like, it's probably been like ordained by someone else, so I could just follow directions. That's fine.
Rich, what about yourself?
I have never seen another person in the books and music section of Target. So whenever I walk in there, not since pre iPod. So I think I'm going that one because I think there's you got a lot of room for error in that one.
Yeah, I definitely want to avoid the electronics section because that is where the most theft tends to happen. People like, and that doesn't sound fun. You don't want to like have to be a narc and be like, hey, can you put that CD back? I don't know why you're picking up a CD. Rich would be very upset you're in his section. So I think I'm going to go with the bakery section. You get to just be in the back making things and like, then you get to bag them and have a good time. That sounds really, I think casually okay.
Cranking out giant cheesecakes for Costco would probably be pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a blast. Well, Alex, thank you for your in-flight question. If you have an in-flight question that you'd like to submit to the show, you can go to tvpilotslicense.com. You can also shoot us a text or leave us a voicemail at 213-290-1713. Let's talk a little bit about the history of this show. This show had 6 seasons and 113 episodes. The show actually was debuted as a preview after The Voice, when The Voice was like the hottest show on television.
Sure.
Side note, remember when we all were like, wow, you can't see the person when they sing? And then that inspired The Masked Singer. Boy, what a time in America. But
how am I supposed to know if their music's good if they're not hot?
Yeah, exactly. That, like, literally that was the premise. And then there was a dating show called The Choice, which was I'm going to date people without looking at them. If you've never seen that, watch it. It is really upsetting.
To be fair, The Masked Singer was an adaptation of, I believe, a South Korean reality show first.
Yeah, where they actually had like real. I'm going to be kind. They had a different tier of celebrity on the stage wearing less creative masks at that point in time.
I'm finding out how many of these things are adaptations from other countries. Like, I just learned The Floor is a Dutch show, and it's in like 50 countries that have Floor now. De Floor.
And Max is only watching reruns of that. But the show actually debuted to about 7 million viewers, which was really good, but it dropped off significantly after that. It peaked as the number 66 show, and then it was hovering around that top 100 space. The show did do well enough, though, that there were talks in 2020 of doing a spin-off about Johnny Pemberton and Nichole Sakura's characters, but that was shelved. as there were some. It sounds like there were some production
It was
issues.
too sad.
And they couldn't find a showrunner that was on the NBC side that really wanted to ride with it. There was a Spanish language adaptation of the show called Supertstore. That was actually pretty successful. It had 48 episodes. Let's talk about awards. 18 nominations. 3 of those were wins. And if you don't think that I'm upset about America Ferreira not getting a surfboard after being nominated multiple times for Teen Choice Awards, boy, are you wrong. And that is the history of this show.
Geoff, it's fine. They're in sporting goods, aisle 14.
Yeah, exactly. Rich, it is time for your game of the week.
Well, what's more fun than learning about the history of some stores that dot suburban landscapes like so many stores on a syphilitic Victorian man? We're learning about big box retail, baby. All right, first one. Best Buy has roots in your backyard, Geoff. That's right. We're doxing him right now. St. Paul, Minnesota was the first store that would eventually come to be known as Best Buy. But the store was originally called what? A, Dick's. B, Sound of Music. C, Plug and Play. D, Sergeant Fax Machine.
Oh man, I want it to be D. I'm gonna say Plug and Play.
I know this one, so it is
You
Sound
do?
of Music. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Jeff, plugged into the St. Paul, Minnesota history and lore.
Get at me. You have to before you get your driver's license, you have to know what's the name of the Sound of Music, where's the closest Dairy Queen, all the fun things.
Yeah, they actually
banned me from singing Edelweiss there.
So they actually, a little bit more fun fact about that, they changed their store to a home electronics and appliances store because of a tornado that ripped through St. Paul. They had a one-day tornado sale for all their undamaged merchandise, and the things that sold the most were VCRs and Laserdiscs, so they changed it entirely to home entertainment. All right,
awesome.
Number 2. The origination of Dick's Sporting Goods, originally a plan to sell bait and tackle at an Army and Navy surplus store, happened in what year? A, 1898, B, 1918, C, 1948, D, 1978.
I'm going to say 48.
Yeah, I was going to say 48 too.
It was post-war America, baby. It was 1948. 2 for 2, Geoff. At any given time, big box retail accounts for approximately what percentage of American jobs? Is it A, 4%, B, 10%, C, 16%, D, 22%?
B. I'm going to go with B because that sounds good.
I'm going to say C, 16%.
It is 10%. Geoff with a clean sweep.
Queen sweep. Well, thank you, Rich, for that game of the week. Gentlemen, before our flight comes to a land,
What are we doing here?
We're recording
Geoff said,
a podcast.
"Attention shoppers." Period.
All right, gentlemen, before our flight comes to a land, I have 2 questions for you. The first is, we watched the pilot of Superstore based off of the pilot and the pilot alone. Would you watch another episode or more of this show? And then the second question is, it seems like we really love a workplace comedy, but we even talked about at the beginning of this episode, Rich's question of the week, of the idea of there's more opportunity out there. Do you want to continue to see more non-multicam workplace comedies exist? Or are you fine with the variety that's out there? So, Rich, I'm going to start off with you.
I think from this first episode, I would give it a second chance. I would give episode 2 a go. It didn't tickle me in a way that I was like, oh my God, this is so different and new and exciting. I love America Ferreira. I love Ben Feldman. I love Colton Dunn. They're just like great actors and very hilarious people. As it goes for workplace comedies, yeah, ever since The Office was such a runaway success, I don't think we're going to have a world without workplace comedies at any point in our lives. I think that's going to keep going until we run out of jobs. You, Max.
Max, what about you?
So this is my first time having seen Superstore, and I want to be very clear. This has nothing to do with like personal animosity or feelings. I've just never seen it.
Give it to him.
And this
Max
feels
says drop dead, diva.
This feels like one of the best examples of a like word of mouth fan base comedy we've had in some time, where there's not an awards history behind it. It's not a ratings darling, but people ride hard for this show, and it had a very successful run as a result. And yeah, I was absolutely tickled by it. I think that it has some absolutely delightful moments in this pilot. I am interested in these characters and his world, and I absolutely do want to see more of it. For your second point, I want to see these workplace comedies if they are character driven, just like character driven shows. And it's not a workplace thing, but Ghosts on CBS is an example of a show that has had a really slow build over time to get to a point where now it's a massive fan base. It's entirely character driven. These are like big bombastic roles. It feels like Superstore does that. I really enjoyed the first season of St. Dennis Medical, which just had its second season premiere, and I hope to see more of these shows where the environments are simple, but the characters are big, and we focus on that. It's just so much fun to escape some of the hyper-realism that I think has overtaken a lot of TV in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, for myself, this is the second time I've seen this pilot, and I don't know why I didn't watch more of it after watching the pilot the first time, because this perfectly hits for me. This is a very, as I said, there's not much that I can complain about other than, if you work in a big box store, boy, is this going to tick you off with some of the things that happen. Allow yourself to suspend your disbelief, right? Allow yourself to really enjoy these characters and be character driven, as Max said. I think that there was this weird time in like 2015 to 2020 where we were like, isn't working like a non-corporate job so Americana, and shouldn't we make more shows about it? I'm thinking for some reason about Superior Donuts, which CBS did as a multicam back in 2017, that just fell flat. Even though
I've never heard of that show.
It was Jermaine Fowler's sitcom that like everyone was super excited about, and then just got torn to bits because
they also turned a Broadway play into like a CBS sitcom, which was an odd choice.
Yeah, and so from there I'm sort of the mindset of enjoy the idea of making characters and focusing on the characters more than the problems that they run into in these instances, because that's what makes a workplace interesting, is the personalities behind it rather than the work that they're doing all of the time. But with that said, gentlemen, our plane has come to a land. Before we go and end this episode, where do you want folks to find you? Rich, where do you want folks to find you?
You can find me figuring out if a surge at this target is actually a race riot. And you can also find me at on Instagram at Damn That's Rich. You can find original sketch comedy. That's where we scat and tell jokes. Over at Dadwagon Comedy on TikTok.
Max?
You can find me training for shopping cart races in the parking lot and on all things social media at Maxwell Sig.
And you can find me in aisle 32 with the frozen foods. But if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Run Geoff Run. You can find the TV Pilots Listen anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also see our smiling faces on YouTube and follow us at TV Pilots License on social media. If you have a question about the show or for our next episode, you can always submit those at tvpilotslicense.com or give us a call at 213-290-1713 and leave us a voicemail. Shoot us a text. Maybe we'll return in reply. Make sure to watch out for some of the sneak previews of the stuff that we have coming up. But with the plane landed and the seatbelt sign off, we look forward to flying the bright skies of the TV world with you again soon. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your fingers on the dial.
Am I the only one that thinks it's weird that she's carrying a bag of crystal meth?